You really need to spend some time in being brave and getting in at a good level. If you don't get in at a good level, there's nothing that upsets me more than a guy saying that this is a very risky trade, I'll use a tight stop loss. That's just rubbish, because you'll get stopped out over and over and over again. The stop needs to be where the stop needs to be. So if your entry is sloppy, then your stop loss is going to have to be a red bus away from where you got in at, to give yourself a chance of staying in the move. The average true range will help with that. Most traders will look at a stop loss of 2.5 times the average true range or something like that. Nevertheless, if you want to get in with low stop losses at institutional levels, you've got to be brave. The institutional traders will use Fibonacci levels, they will use trend lines, they will use simple horizontal support and resistance levels to actually look for confluences to try and place their orders. Nothing clever, okay? And unfortunately, most retail traders, as I say, will look for some form of confirmation and their stop loss will then be too close and they'll get taken out in the noise.
So that is a blunter answer than most people expect. The stop does not go where you can afford it. It goes where the chart says it goes. And if your entry was sloppy, that place is, in his words, a red bus away from where you got in. Notice he calls a tight stop on a risky trade rubbish, not caution. That is the exact opposite of what most beginners are taught to do. Welcome to the psychology of successful traders and how they think. Here's how this works. One question per episode. Always one that professionals still argue about. I bring you people who have traded for 30, 40, 50 years, and I go through their answers with you piece by piece, so that by the end, you know what each one is really claiming, and which part fits the way you trade. Episode 2 is about the most practical decision you make on every single trade, where the stop actually goes. You just heard Dr. David Paul say the chart decides it. Coming up, Phil Goedeker barely uses a hard stop at all. Francis Hunt says never move the one you set. Al Brooks moves his on purpose. And Charles Faulkner argues that the whole idea of eliminating the loss is the mistake. So, if this kind of content helps you, take a second to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the next lessons reach you the moment they go live. And feel free to share in the comments which topics you would like us to explore in future videos. And if you want to support the channel on a deeper level, consider becoming a member to unlock exclusive content and help keep these lessons coming. You'll also find links to our trusted partners in the description below. Using them costs you nothing, and it directly helps the channel keep producing free educational content like this. So let's start underneath the question, because there is one nobody asks first. Does the stop even have to be an order sitting in the market where your broker can see it? Phil Goedeker is a day trader who built his name on parabolic mean reversion, and he has been talking publicly about his own losses for years. He agrees stops are non-negotiable. He just doesn't leave many of them lying around.
Stops are a must. I mean, we all have to use stops. Now, I personally rarely use hard stops, but I have mental stops on every position that I take. Basically, if something's breaking support or resistance, I usually just exit that trade. And I think most of us here need to have a mental idea in our head of where we're going to exit a trade, based on where it goes against us. How many of us here have ever been in a losing trade and we're down something small, maybe $5,000, and we think, I'm not going to cut it. I feel like this is going to be a winner, and we add to that trade. An hour later, we're down $20,000 to $30,000, and we think, wow, it's hard to, I can't cut it now. We hold it till the afternoon. Maybe tomorrow it gaps up. We're down $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, and we think, what the heck just happened? I could have cut that loss yesterday for $3, $4, $5 grand. Now I've given up 10, maybe 20% of my year just by being stubborn. Think about how much more money we could make at the end of the year if we just stick to some simple rules and cut our losses at an appropriate place.
Mental stops on every position. And then that number line, which is the part that stays with you. 5,000 becomes 20, becomes 70, becomes 100. And the only thing that changed along the way was refusing to take the small loss. He is not arguing that the stop is optional. He is arguing that the discipline lives in your head, not in the order book. Which is exactly what the next man would warn you about. Francis Hunt is the market sniper, the technical trader behind the Hunt volatility funnel method, and he is about as far from the mental stop camp as you can get. His answer starts by attacking something almost everybody does without thinking about it. Listen for the moment he turns on the one habit most traders consider good practice.
Trailing stops kill trades. I'm pretty sure the brokers love stop losses because usually A, they set too tight. In other words, people don't identify the rare occasions when you can set them pretty tight. They set too tight generally, and therefore they take people out with guaranteed losses. And also trailing stops mean that any progress that is made, people hustle to, it's almost like an accounting thought, trailing stop to entry for break-even trades, no one ever got shot for doing that. And no one ever got lost money doing that. Well, actually, if you do it too soon, you keep killing good trades. And unless you're trading incredibly fast-moving breakouts, which I aim to do, and even still doing that, you still can have a slow start and then it accelerates. Stops kill trades. So you have to have a really strong stop level that you agree initially, and you need to stand by it and not trail, in my opinion. That's what works for me.
Trailing stops kill trades. That is a direct hit on a rule people repeat like it is free money. Move to break even, nobody ever went broke taking a small win. His argument is that moving the stop early converts good trades into nothing, because a real move very often starts slowly before it accelerates. So the level is agreed once, and after that, you sit on your hands. Which sets up the sharpest disagreement in this episode, and it is not subtle. Al Brooks was an eye surgeon before he was a trader, and he wrote the Trading Price Action Trilogy, 3 volumes of reading charts bar by bar. He finds the same kind of logical level Francis is describing, and then does the exact thing Francis just told you kills trades. Watch how deliberate he is about it.
If I look at a chart and I'm flat and the market's strongly bullish, and I think, gosh, I really wish I was long, you have a choice. Do I buy at the market or do I wait for a pullback? And if the trend is very strong, for example, a small pullback bull trend, it can run a long, long way before it ever has a pullback, and you end up missing a lot of the trend. Instead, what I do is I look at the chart and ask myself, okay, had I bought lower, what size position would I have right now, and where would my stop be? So if I'm buying a stock that is maybe a $50 stock, and it had a small pullback, 5 or 10 bars ago, and that would be the logical place for my stop, and it might be 50 cents below where we are right now. I would decide, okay, if I buy at the market right now, I'm going to risk to below the low of that bar, which is 50 cents, $50 per every 100 shares of stock. I decide how much I'm comfortable risking. And if my risk is normally $200, I would buy 400 shares at the market and use that original stop. And then if the market keeps rallying, I can eventually move my stop to break even or better than break even. So even if the market turns against me, I'll be guaranteed at least a small profit. On the other hand, as soon as I enter, if the market begins to pull back, I think there's an 80% chance that the market will come back to my entry price, within 10 or 15 bars or so. So I don't get worried about that. So even if I buy at what turns out to be the high tick, trends usually don't just reverse, abruptly. They usually enter a trading range first, which means that there'll be a pullback, and then the market will test the old high. And if I bought at the old high, I should be able to get out around break even, maybe even with a little profit. Sometimes I'll even buy more on the pullback, so that once the market tests the old high, my original entry, I can get out of my original entry at break even, and I'll have a profit on my subsequent entry. So in general, when the trend is really strong, and I say, boy, I wish I was long, I get long, but I just trade small enough so that my risk is not more than I'm comfortable handling.
Notice the order he does things in. He finds the stop first, then decides the position size from it, then enters. The stop is not the last thing he thinks about, it is the input for everything else. And then he moves it to break even, on purpose, which is precisely what Francis Hunt calls killing your own trade. Both of them are professionals. Both of them are right in their own time frame. So that is 3 different answers to where the stop belongs and whether it is ever allowed to move. Charles Faulkner does not add a 4th. He is a modeling expert who spent years taking apart how top traders actually think, and he appears in Jack Schwager's The New Market Wizards for exactly that work. His answer says the argument is hiding a much older misunderstanding.
If you were making decisions, imagine if every decision you made was like, oh God, I'm making the decision, it's really important. You know, and you're doing this, and you're getting all upset about this decision. I mean, does that make it a better decision? Here's the thing, when you get into the trading, a number of people have this idea that if they're trading big amounts of money and putting on positions, therefore it ought to be really exciting and upsetting because of all the stuff involved. But the people who do it really well are minimizing risk. For them, it's pretty much the same thing. Now, understand, sometimes there's also confusion about this in terms of cutting losses. The neophyte trader, when he hears cut your losses, will try to cut them to 0, even if it means waiting for it to go down, waiting for it to come up again, right? And then it goes down. Well, it'll come back because I don't want to take a loss, which is different from the experienced trader who's going, I cut my losses. I never eliminate them. I just keep cutting them and cutting them and cutting them. So the idea is you never eliminate risk. You're minimizing risk.
I cut my losses. I never eliminate them. I just keep cutting them. That is the whole reframe, and it lands on the beginner's version of the phrase. Hearing cut your losses, most people try to get the loss to 0, which is exactly how a small loss becomes the position you refuse to close. The professional treats it as something you do continuously, forever. So put the 5 answers next to each other, and one thing shows up in every single one of them. Not one of these men picked the stop based on how much he felt like losing. David Paul reads the chart. Goedeker reads support and resistance. Hunt reads price behavior. Brooks reads the pullback. Faulkner reads risk itself. The account balance never once entered the conversation. But here is where they split, and it is not a small split. Goedeker keeps the stop in his head and nothing in the market. Hunt puts it in the market and refuses to touch it afterwards. Brooks puts it in the market and moves it to break even the moment the trade lets him. Those 3 cannot all be right at the same time, and yet all 3 of them make money. So the useful question is probably not where does the stop go? It is which of these you can actually execute at 3 in the afternoon on your 4th trade of the day while you are down. A mental stop asks for a discipline most people have not built yet. Next in this series, we go 1 level up, risk management, and how much of the account professionals will actually put at risk. And before you go, do something for yourself. Go and find these people. Dr. David Paul is a trader and educator with VectorVest who has spent decades teaching risk management and trading psychology. Phil Goedeker is a day trader known for parabolic mean reversion setups, and he has talked through his own worst trades on Chat with Traders more openly than most people ever will. Francis Hunt is the market sniper, creator of the Hunt volatility funnel method. Al Brooks wrote the Trading Price Action trilogy. Charles Faulkner is the modeling expert who appears in Jack Schwager's The New Market Wizards. Wherever we could find an official channel for any of them, we have linked it in the description, so you can go to the source instead of stopping at a clip. And we link them for a reason. Not one of these 5 has the perfect system, and neither do we. Our job here isn't to sell you a method, it's that you end up profitable, whatever methodology you decide to follow. So take what fits the way you think, leave what doesn't, and keep growing by listening to the biggest voices this market has produced. I'll see you in the next one, trader. So, trader, if this video brought you more clarity, like it, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the next lessons reach you. And tell me in the comments what you want me to cover next. And if you want to go deeper, you can become a member of the Com Lucro Trader community right here on YouTube. It unlocks exclusive content, early access, and extra tools for your development, while directly supporting the channel. You'll also find our trusted partners linked in the description. Using those links costs you nothing and helps us keep producing this kind of educational content. And remember, the mission of the Com Lucro channel is simple. We help traders build clarity, confidence, and structure, so every decision is made with discipline and intention. Here you'll find complete courses built as a true trading masterclass. liquidity, market structure, higher time frame analysis, and supply and demand. Always focused on reading price and executing with a professional mindset. We also cover trading psychology, risk management, and long-term consistency. Because trading isn't just about charts, it's about mindset, discipline, and execution over time. Our main courses include smart money concepts, ICT, technical analysis, trading psychology, and Wyckoff. Alongside that, we share insights from respected traders whose work helps you understand how markets really behave. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.